Hello, everyone. We're so glad to see so many of you have joined early. We're going to get started in just a minute. Feel free to say hi in the chat and let us know where you're from as everyone is making their connection. I love watching those numbers go up.
Thank you for the early hearts already. Wow. We
Yeah,
just said hello and we're getting hearts. Thank you for the reactions.
we love to see those.
I
So
know.
fun. Such a fun feature in Zoom.
As always, people joining from all over.
Yes, we've said before we wish Zoom had a map feature where we could automatically see what part of the country and globe that we cover in a given webinar, because usually it's quite a good mix. But we'll have to just quickly read through the chat as things are scrolling by. All right, well, it is the bottom of the hour on my clock, so let's get started. And once again, welcome everyone to our webinar, which today is all about one of my favorite topics, efficiency. To stay on theme, today's session will be a shorter 30-minute fast track to highlight the features in UDOIT Advantage that make accessibility work in Canvas highly efficient. And I want to point out at the beginning as well that this webinar is designed to provide an introduction and an overview of the product and the features that support the best practices we'll talk about today. It is not designed to be a step-by-step training. However, we will, for those of you whose institutions license UDOIT Advantage, we will be pointing out where you can access more resources and training resources throughout. So I'm Jennifer Malkovich, and I head up marketing and product management here at Cidi Labs. And I'm joined by the amazing Stephanie Tate, who is our product marketing manager and the genius behind our fun and informative webinars that you may have joined in the past. So 2 quick housekeeping notes. First, we are definitely recording today's session, and we will, as always, share it out via email with everyone who registered sometime tomorrow so that you can refer back to it and share it with all of your friends and colleagues. And second, you are welcome to use the chat feature throughout, as well as the reactions, as some of you already are. But we do ask that you please submit your questions through the Q&A area in Zoom so that our teammates who are here to help can best keep track of your questions and answer all of them throughout the webinar. In case you're not familiar with Cidi Labs, we have 6 different game-changing tools for Canvas to really just help elevate your course designs, simplify accessibility, which is what we'll be talking about today, and scale all those best practices. We were founded in 2016. In fact, we celebrated our 10-year anniversary this week through a partnership with Utah State University, where Kenneth Larson, our co-founder, was working as an instructional designer, and he wanted to find a better way to build high-quality, accessible Canvas courses, which led him to create the first iteration of what would later become Design Plus. In the 10 years since, we've continued this model of developing clever and affordable tools for Canvas by simply listening to our customers. Today, again, our focus is on our accessibility checker called UDOIT or UDOIT Advantage, which was originally developed at the University of Central Florida, another institutional partner of ours. So as we dive in, Stephanie, before we look at how to get more efficient, can you tell us a little bit about why we should be concerned about doing things inefficiently?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with data and just say that without the right data about accessibility in and across courses, it becomes really difficult to prioritize action and determine what kind of training would be most impactful for instructors. from there. If accessibility training is disconnected from taking action on the learning, then all that learning is less likely to stick, and instructors are less likely to feel empowered to take action, especially at a later date if that disconnect is there. Continuing on, if fixing accessibility issues is some cumbersome task full of friction, too many clicks for like a single action to be completed, or if it involves lots of task shifting, then it's really easy for instructors to face cognitive overload, perhaps to get discouraged by a lack of momentum, right? And I would say ultimately make fewer important accessibility fixes overall with the time that they have. Another piece here is that we know courses often contain unused and outdated material. And so a really inefficient process is when time gets spent fixing that content that students will never even interact with. And all these inefficiencies easily stack up and result in significant time lost and a reduction in impact.
Well, those all sound like very important reasons to simplify and streamline the work here. And so that's really where UDOIT comes in. For those who aren't familiar with the tool, UDOIT is an accessibility assistant that plugs right into your Canvas courses to first scan an entire course, which is very efficient because it removes the need to check item by item in your course. Next, UDOIT explains the issues. So that ultimately helps everyone prevent future issues when they understand what went wrong and why it's a problem for learners. And finally, UDOIT provides guidance to help you fix the issues with a highly efficient workflow that we're going to feature today. And so that it is that highly efficient workflow that puts us on that fast track. And that's what we're going to dive into now. So Stephanie, can you kick us off by starting to show us what those efficiencies can look like and UDOIT?
Sure. Yeah, the reality is that tool design makes a big difference. UDOIT Advantage allows you to easily identify priorities at both the admin level and the course level, and then directly take action through its interactive scorecard dashboard. UDOIT also allows you to filter out unused content and files, and what I mentioned earlier as a major inefficiency, so that you're not spending precious time working on accessibility fixes for course items learners will never see. With UDOIT, you're also not locked into a single workflow, right? So you can actually tailor your flow to match your recent accessibility training to support a So I'm going to pop over into a course here where I have UDOIT Advantage right in my course navigation. And when I select UDOIT Advantage in my course navigation, I'm brought to this helpful welcome screen. Now, for those of you who are wanting some more kind of training details, I want to point out here, this welcome screen is a great resource for that. If you license the tool, you'll get an overview of the tool in a video form. You can access UDOIT training videos, also the user guide, and you can get some information about exactly what UDOIT is looking for as it scans your course. But I also want to point out something on this welcome screen that I think is really helpful for efficiency and can be easily overlooked by institutions. You have the ability, if you license UDOIT Advantage, to add a custom welcome message on the screen for your users. And we have this like sample customized one here that's reminding users who pop into UDOIT what your institution priorities are, and maybe even providing access to the tailored training that you want them to go through in order to make the most efficient use of their time inside this tool. So it's really, really helpful to utilize that feature if you're not currently doing so. When we continue on, we're brought right into the kind of main home space for UDOIT Advantage. You can see that there's an overall accessibility score, which can be help prioritize that action we were talking about, right? Like it can be overwhelming to not know where to even start with course accessibility, but these impact areas help drive that action. So if I expand the high impact area, I can see that there are issue types listed underneath that high impact area. And I want to mention here that these the issue types that show up in these categories, high, medium, and low, are configurable at an institution level. So again, kind of matching your priorities with action, matching your training with action, you can configure your lists here to best match your institutional messaging, training, priorities, etc. But these categories also take efficiency a step further. These represent potential workflows that can be highly efficient. So notice that these categories have a link that I can select. So I can, as a user, go through and tackle all the instances of accessibility issues on one category. And why is that so efficient? Well, let's not pretend that everyone using this tool is an accessibility expert or has all of that learning right offhand. Or for anyone, it's very difficult to have your brain toggle back and forth between ideas and concepts and workflows. So instead, everyone benefits from the efficiency of saying, let's tackle all the images or all the image issues in our course. And so when I select images, I'm brought to a list of those issues. I don't go back and forth between page items in Canvas. I'm just clearing all across my course all the image issues. So I can simply begin by reviewing the first one. I can add alternative text if I need to. And sorry, let me go ahead and pop this off for a second. I can go ahead and review if there is alternative text. This image is not helpful as alternative text. I can edit the alternative text or determine if this image is decorative and mark it. And then I would simply save and move to the next image issue. I'm still dealing with image issues. So for me, I don't have a lot of cognitive overload. I'm focused. Maybe I'm leveraging training I just took on image alt text from my institution, and I'm able to just knock all of these out. But it gets better because UDOIT can enable automation that gives you the ability to bulk apply fixes. So here's an example of an image that I used on my template module wrap-up page. And it's a silly pineapple party image that I think is so celebratory, a little bit of fun when you get to the end of a module. And because it was a template, guess what I did? I duplicated it throughout my page quite a number of times, which means I duplicated the accessibility issue over and over again. But with UDOIT, I could say, I want that image to be decorative, and let's fix all 9 of them with a single selection. I will save, and I could just keep going throughout the rest of those issues. So you can see how that can be a highly efficient workflow, both for cognitive load and also to support training and action, right? But I mentioned earlier that that's not the only workflow that you can utilize. So we have these other ways to get started. And imagine you've been notified by, say, the Disability Resource Center at your institution that you have a learner with a particular need in your course. I can come down to work by impact type and maybe say I've been alerted that the student has some visual accommodations needed. I can ask UDOIT to show me all the visual related accessibility issues in my course so I can ensure that my course is accessible for this particular learner. So if I go to visual issues, now what I'm doing again is working in a really efficient manner to make sure this course is free of those barriers for this learner. And I can go ahead and say, get started. I'm shown all those issues. Super cool. Now I have this little hide unpublished content filter. I'm going to turn this off for a second. Because from here, I want to say sometimes it's a matter of triage, right? I think we all wish that we had enough time to tackle every single accessibility issue all at once. Sometimes we wish we had the bandwidth for that, right? But oftentimes we have to work in waves. And so not only am I here working in a wave that's efficient to support this particular learner, but I have some other filters that allow me to further break down the task. So I'm going to show you here, I have 7 pages worth of accessibility issues that I'm trying to clear for this particular learner. But if I am inside my UDOIT filters, I can apply a further filter, say, please hide all the unused content. I don't want to work on content this student will never see, stuff that's not in a module, that's not linked to anywhere in the course. And just like that, I've reduced the workflow down to only 3 pages worth of issues instead of 7. So we don't want to spend time on something that the learner will never see, right? And further, if you know that you only have one module published currently and all you can tackle today is that first module, then you can also hide your unpublished content, but be sure to come back for that other unpublished content because it might be a day away from being published. So those are some amazing efficiencies. We also have a few built in to help you with course files because we know that's a major lift as well, right? So when I choose to review course files in UDOIT, I'm shown the files in my course and the accessibility issues associated with them. Just like with content, I can apply some filters, right? I'm not going to do that now, but just know that those filters are there. What I want to show you is a few key things for what you can do to help your efficient workflow. So one is this PDF I've opened up. I can request alternate formats that can make this document more accessible, and I can kickstart some of the work. For example, this PDF was missing tags. Well, I went ahead with UDOIT and I already kind of pre-baked it so you can see it done, but I requested an auto-tagged PDF, and that's going to take care of a lot of the tagging work that can be really kind of slow and tedious for me. And then I can replace that file with an auto-tagged PDF and replace it in every location that that item is in my course with one swoop. So nice. I'm not relinking every single time it was in my course. Additionally, to really support an efficient workflow moving forward, we can also request to convert documents to a Canvas page. For example, this reading page is just like a student reading page that probably should have always been a Canvas page, right? It's not like publisher content or anything like that. It was a content page I made. For some reason, I thought it should be a document at the time. Well, if I want to make it more accessible moving forward, it's easier to remediate inside Canvas. And so I requested this as a Canvas page, and now I can just use the rich content editor that's a little more familiar to make it accessible, or rescan my course and use UDOIT to fix things like alternative text. So there are a ton of efficiencies built into this tool that have kind of been there for a long time in the core design. But I'm going to hand it over to Jennifer to show you a little bit more.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephanie. Those core optimizations that are built in are super impactful. And now I'm going to show you how Cidi Labs has continued evolving and developing UDOIT to really serve the needs of a wide variety of institutions by adding even more efficiency-focused improvements. So first, we've thoughtfully leveraged AI. I noticed we've already had some questions about that to help with things that AI is good at, like suggesting alt text for images, while still keeping the human in control. That's an important concept for us. We've expanded the ways that you can perform a single action to fix multiple issues, which is really my favorite efficiency. And we've expanded the number of issues that you can fix right from within UDOIT, therefore really just keeping you in that flow of efficiently fixing issues. And lastly, we don't think that efficiency should ever happen at the cost of learning or understanding why accessibility matters. So we've introduced a new resource that helps communicate the why behind these accessibility issues, which again, ultimately helps prevent future issues. And that, we think, is the ultimate efficiency gain. So now I'm going to jump into my course and show you these new features in action. And for some reason, my course is not, 1 second, sharing glitch here. Here we go. All right. Okay, so now I'm in my course, and the first thing I'm going to show you, since we had a lot of enthusiasm about using AI to come up with alt text, is our new feature. I'm within the You Fix It area, which is again where you are reviewing and fixing issues in your course. And we've got this new function called Speed Fix It Beta. And as the name implies, it was designed to offer an even more streamlined workflow that will also provide suggestions for the fixes for the user to review. So right now in Speed Fix It, it has told me that I can fix 20 different issues in this course. I am going to focus just on image issues. Not sure why that happened. But I will not filter at this moment, and I will focus on, you know what? I know why that happened. I'm sorry. We practiced right before this demo, and this was working as designed. I filtered for color issues alone, so it was just showing me the color issues. So I'm going to remove my color filter. Now you can see I have 63 issues that can be fixed with Speed Fix It. And so when we go back into Speed Fix It and kind of take it from the top, I'm going to focus on all of my image issues and really, once again, get in that flow that Stephanie was talking about. So here again, I could hide the unused or unpublished content, and you will see my count go down significantly. For the purposes here, I'll keep that unselected. But what you're going to see is a really nice preview of the image on that page, so you can really get the context, as well as suggested alternate text. And we provide for each image 3 different options that will kind of take a slightly different approach. Sometimes there are longer and shorter versions, some taking more of the context of the page into account. But if this one looks good to me, I can simply approve it, and then it quickly moves me to the next image. And so here you can see, once again, I've got a number of suggestions, and perhaps I like this suggestion, but I don't think it's important to mention her hairstyle. So I'm just going to edit that quickly, keep my alt text very succinct, and still convey the meaning of the image, and then I can approve it. So as you can see, I am, keeping the human in the loop here as I am presented with these images and the alt text. Similarly, I can use Speed Fix It to go through color issues, and what that will do is it will automatically suggest a better color contrast. If we scroll down, we can see this one is kind of a lighter pink. And so here you can see it suggests a better contrast for me. So I don't have to go in and adjust the color. It just suggests one that I might like. It also suggests a couple different variations as well. So you can see how with Speed Fix It, again, as the name implies, I could quickly get into a flow of really going through and accepting those suggestions, tweaking them where needed. So now I'm going to head back to my scorecard, which I find to be just such a helpful jumping off point when I'm fixing accessibility issues. And I'm going to show you how we've expanded the ability to apply those bulk fixes that Stephanie showed you. So let's take a look at some of our color issues here. And if I pull up this issue, you can see this course used a lot of pink. Maybe it was my favorite color, but here I'm realizing it really doesn't work against a white background. And so where Stephanie had created an accessibility issue by sort of duplicating it with the use of the template, this is just something I did because I happen to like the color pink. And so here I can first pick a more accessible color. So I'm going to go with that dark red. We can see the validation here that I've accomplished a valid ratio here. And then I can go ahead and apply it to all related issues in my course. So anywhere else that I used that type of a color on a white background, it's going to go ahead and apply this fix. And again, save it, and now I have fixed 6 issues altogether. So that's another big efficiency that we've added. Now I'm going to go back to my scorecard and take a look at links. Another feature that we've recently added is the ability to, once again, have UDOIT help a little bit more in terms of when I have linked to a YouTube video, it automatically reads the title of the video from YouTube and suggests that I add that, because that's an obvious way to make this a more descriptive link, to actually list the title of the video, right? And so here you can see I've clearly linked to this video in a number of places in my course. And once again, I can go ahead and apply it everywhere. Similarly, through on this page, I'm going to actually go ahead and fix that so I can find the other issue more efficiently. And I'm going to find a place where I linked to another piece of content in my Canvas course, and that is going to do the same exact thing. If I can find it, it's going to go ahead and suggest the name of the page in Canvas. Goodness, I used that video a lot, didn't I? And when it suggests the page, I will simply pop it right in like I did the last one. I'm not going to make you wait while I scroll through and try to find that. The last thing that I wanted to show is what we've done to, again, keep you inside UDOIT in that flow to fix more issues within the course. So I may have used some different headings in my course, and essentially when you do that, you have to, really know the context of the page. And so what I can do, you can see here that this is telling me I have skipped some heading levels, so this is not going to be appropriate for a screen reader. So to get the context of what these headings are doing on my page, I can expand that preview and say, okay, I realize that this is the main heading, and then these are supportive. So I'm going to just go ahead and make those all H3s. So this one is the main one. I'm going to start with H2, and then all of these can be H3. I can fix them right here on the page, get them, whoops, wrong direction, get them all lined up. I have no more errors reported here, and then I can go ahead and save that. And now that has updated the heading levels in the HTML on my page without me having to go out and do that. And I'll just conclude this tour of new features by mentioning that we've added a few other things that you can fix inside UDOIT, the area itself, including the ability to remove empty tables, including the ability to remove deprecated HTML. Hopefully you don't have much of that inside your course, but we know there are some blink and marquee tags hanging around somewhere. And so all from within this interface, you can simply delete those links. Now I'm going to shift over to the companion ULearn accessibility guide that we mentioned earlier, when we said that the ultimate efficiency is learning how to avoid creating these issues in the first place. So ULearn is a free guide that goes deeper in explaining each of the issues and the why, and perhaps, for example, helps you see what a student might experience, or in some cases here, many of these include what a screen reader would sound like to the non-sighted user. And so this is not only telling you why it matters, but it's actually providing a number of ways for you to fix the issues. So that concludes our whirlwind tour of the new features that we've added in UDOIT. And I think Stephanie is going to wrap us up. Oh, you're on mute, Stephanie.
I'm muted. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Jennifer, for the showcase. I hope for our audience that the demos today gave you a sense of how efficiency is built into UDOIT's design. And all those efficiencies aren't just a cool concept. They do add up to make a difference. We recently heard from a senior instructional designer at the University of Utah who shared that they ran a test of a Cidi Labs Power Pair, Tidy Up or course cleanup tool with UDOIT Advantage against another accessibility product. And what they found is that what took them 9 hours to do in another accessibility product took them 1.5 to do using those Cidi Labs tools. And that's with no prior practice in the tools, which we think is pretty fabulous. And they said that they achieved stronger outcomes than they could have expected with the other accessibility tool. And for me personally, as a longtime educator, I also love that they found the tool to be more beginner friendly and would recommend it for their faculty to use. And so we hope you have that experience as well. And we are at 1 minute left, so we are right on time here. And we want to say that if you are looking to learn more about UDOIT Advantage, if your institution doesn't currently license this product, please reach out at cidilabs.com. You can scan the QR code on the screen if you want to sign up for a demo. And if you're looking for research-backed strategies for kind of the big picture, for leading a sustainable accessibility effort at your institution, you can actually join us for a longer 1-hour upcoming webinar called Accessibility That Lasts, Sustainable Strategies for Canvas Courses. We'll drop that link in the chat for you to register for that one coming up as well. Thank you all so much for being here, and we hope you have some wonderful, efficient workflows.
Bye.
Bye.